Welcome back to Ingredient Wars, the only baking show where the contestant has to make a recipe out of a viral web-based game. Behind me is a giant Wordle board, and today I have 5 chances to guess the word correctly. Before this, my producer and I each selected 5 ingredients. If I guess a letter in the correct spot, I get to pick one of my ingredients for the recipe, and if I don't, he gets to pick one of his 5. Wow, that was wordy. Let's play. I feel like the hardest part is trying to figure out what the first word should be. It's like a blank slate. Okay, I'm gonna go with movie. M-O-V-I and E.
Only the I is yellow, but not green.
So I did not guess a letter in the correct spot, which means my producer gets to select my first ingredient.
I'm gonna choose salsa.
Salsa? This is a baking show. For my next word, I'm going to do pizza. Let's find out. So once again, I did not guess a letter in the correct space, which means that my producer gets to select my second ingredient. Salsa and crackers. Say we kick back, watch some football. My next word is gonna be chips. P and S. My third guess is chips.
C and the S are both in there, but not in the right place. The I is in the correct place.
Yes! That means that I get to select my third ingredient, and my third ingredient is going to be donuts. Okay, I know the S isn't in here, but I want to make sure all the letters are in the right space, so my fourth word is going to be pricey.
P is in there, but not in the right place. I, C, and Y are all in the right place.
Okay, we're getting closer, you guys. I have one more chance. Okay, so I get to pick my fourth ingredient, and my fourth ingredient is going to be marshmallow. So I know that there's an S and a P in there, and I know that they're the first 2 letters of the word. So my 5th and final guess is spicy. Did I get it correct?
Yes, the word is spicy.
Yes! That means that I get to pick my 5th and final ingredient, which is chocolate chips. We've got a lot of interesting ingredients to add to this recipe today. Let's get home. So we're back from the store, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to make. A strawberry salsa stuffed s'more donut. But first, last week my sweet tea boba cupcake got a thumbs down from the masked judge, meaning that this week I have to spin the wheel of punishments. So let's go do that. Let's see what I get. Lobster claws again. Last time that I used the lobster claws, it was impossible. I think it's time. This week, I'm going to be using my power of veto. Using the power of veto this week is going to save me so much time, which is huge because this week, the game is changing. In all previous 7 episodes, I've had 4 hours to complete each cooking challenge. And from this point on, we're cutting that in half. So, 2 hours on the clock, starting now. I'm going to start by making my donut. So I'm dumping in 3 cups of flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna whisk that all together. We have been on a losing streak recently, so I have to finish on time. I have to make this good. The masked judge has to like what my creation is today because I need this win. So I've got some warm water and some yeast, and I'm going to combine those 2 together. And now I'm going to let that sit for 10 minutes while the yeast activates. Let's start on the strawberry salsa. So I'm dicing some strawberries because my idea was to make a strawberry salsa instead of like a regular salsa, because regular salsa doesn't belong in a dessert, at least not as far as I can see. Let's go ahead and dump our diced strawberries into this bowl. Done with that step. Okay, so now for the mint. I think you're supposed to pick this off. I don't think you're supposed to eat the stem. I'm just kind of trying to chop up mint. I never really know how to do this. Okay, I'm just sprinkling my mint over the strawberries just like that. Beautiful, get that mint off of my hands. Now I'm going to split up my lime. We're gonna squeeze the juice of 1 lime into the strawberry salsa. Just like that. And we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla. Lastly, we're gonna use about 3 tablespoons of strawberry jam. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go ahead and mix this all together. Right now I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna come back to it in a second. To my yeast mixture, we're going to add some lukewarm milk, about 3/4 cups of that, 3 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 egg. Gosh, why do I suck at cracking eggs? And a little bit of vanilla. We're gonna use a hand mixer to mix all of this together. We're gonna take about half of our flour mixture and pour it into this egg mixture, or our yeast mixture. And I'm just gonna mix it together on low. So I'm going to pour the rest of this flour mixture into my yeast mixture. Now I'm going to mix this all together with the dough hook on the KitchenAid. I'm gonna start nice and slow because I don't want it to create a flour storm, so just start nice and slow and hopefully it'll form a dough. Once it forms a dough, it's gotta pull off the edges of the bowl, and then we know that we're ready to move on to the next step. As you can see, it's pulling off the edges, so it's perfect, and it's time to start kneading with my hands. Trying to get a well-buttered bowl to let this all rest in, so what I did was I just melted some butter in this bowl, and then I'm just kind of spinning it around the bowl a little bit. So I'm gonna start kneading this with my hands. We don't want it to like rip like that. We want it to be like an elastic situation. So we're gonna go for about 5 minutes kneading this together. It's ready. I'm going to stick this ball in here, flip it around, get all the sides covered in some nice juicy butter. We're covering it with some cling wrap and we're gonna let it sit in a warm environment for a little bit of time. So now I have this idea to kind of make like a strawberry jam out of our strawberry salsa. So I'm going to pour what I made. Oh, you know what? I'm only gonna put like half of it in. So I'm just gonna kind of let this kind of boil up and simmer and let all the juices kind of mesh it all together into one cohesive jelly. It's already starting to boil, which is great. I'm gonna start pushing down some of those berries and just kind of mushing them all together. And now we wait. So it looks like this has thickened up enough that you can kind of drag the spatula through and it doesn't try to replace the middle part. We're gonna let it thicken up even more as it cools down. See y'all in a little bit. Okay, it's been some time. Got about 40 minutes left on the clock. Yikes. But we're going to roll out the dough now. Each of these like represents like the thickness of the dough, and I want it to be about a 1/2 inch thick, which I believe is this one. We're gonna turn out the dough onto a very well floured surface. Put some flour on top. You don't wanna roll it out too much because then it's going to lose its airiness and it's gonna be more cakey, and nobody likes a cakey donut. We need about 2.5 inch circles. So I'm gonna use probably my biggest cutter here. And we're just gonna start cutting them out and setting them aside. I'm going to heavily flour down this baking sheet. We're gonna start layering on the donuts. So now I'm gonna cover this with some paper towel and I'm gonna let this sit again and we're gonna let that re-rise or proof. We have 21 minutes left. The dough has been resting and proofing, and now it is time to fry them. Let's go ahead and stick that puppy in there. Come on, get off there, bubby. I'm gonna do about like, ow, my pinky just touched the hot oil on the spatula. So we're just kind of waiting until it gets golden brown. It's gonna be about like a couple minutes on each side. While those are frying, I'm going to take you through the process of how I make the filling. I've got my marshmallow fluff here, I've got my strawberry salsa jam here, and we're going to make it into one kind of like striped filling. I'm really excited about this. I saw this method on Pinterest and I've been really excited to try it, so. But first, let's go ahead and see if these need a flipping. Yep, they do. So what you do is you take some saran wrap and you wanna lay it out flat. I'm gonna start with my marshmallow fluff and I'm gonna lay down like pretty nice layer, just like that. Oop. And now we're gonna take the jelly and I'm going to push that through. Just like that, great. And now we're gonna take the marshmallow fluff again. And I'm just gonna do that a couple more times. Just really layer it, gorgeous. So these are all pretty golden brown. We did it, yay! I'm gonna go ahead and take these out and place them on this plate. So you wanna kinda like roll it together like this. And we're gonna twist both sides. And then we're gonna pipe the donuts. So now it's time to make the chocolate frosting. So I'm going to use my chocolate chips. I'm And we're gonna just melt that with 2 tablespoons of milk, 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm like stressed because we got 9 minutes left. Come on, teaspoon of vanilla. And lastly, some light corn syrup. And then we're just going to just continually mix that until everything's melted together. So now we're gonna add in about a cup of powdered sugar. And we're just going to mix that until smooth. Oh my gosh, we have 3 minutes left. Okay, so now we gotta get to pumping the frosting into the donuts. So I'm gonna take this and kind of weed it through, if it'll go through. Come on, come on. Yes, just like that. Do you guys see that? That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Okay, so now I've got this little thing poking through like that. Perfect. It needs to come out. So I got it in, and now we're going to, it won't, oh my gosh. We have 56 seconds left, and it's making a mess. We just have to go with it. We have to go with it. We have to go with it. Now, let's go ahead and dip in the chocolate sauce. Good. 1, 2, ow! 3, one more, 4, and then finally we've got our graham crackers. Just gonna sprinkle those on top, and done. Let's see what the masked judge has to say. Well, it looks like the masked judge voted my creation this week a thumbs up, meaning that next week I get to spin the wheel of advantages. We are on our winning streak, guys. So you're definitely gonna wanna tune in for that. And if you haven't already, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, I so enjoyed making this video for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.